So let's start by talking a little about going back into the days. You probably have some type of video game memories from growing up.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, to be honest, well, to give you an idea, when I first played Silent Hill, it took me 30 minutes to just set up my character. Literally. I was just sitting there going, Felix is my brother. Like, tell me which button do I press? So that gives you an idea of my gaming skills, especially with the advanced technology nowadays. But I loved Super Mario Kart. I know, I'm a girl, but I loved it so much. And I actually have flying dreams where I jump 3 times and I do a somersault in the air and then I fly. And then I watched it and I played Super Mario Kart again and I was like, oh, it's not my imagination. I just, ripped it from a game. But yeah, no, and then James Bond, we were always playing. 007. Yeah, those are the 2 standouts for me.
Those are the old Nintendo days. So did you play with your brother and stuff?
64, we still have it. Yeah, I've got 2 younger brothers, so yeah.
So you probably played a little bit more than like a lot of girls in the sense that you always had the gamings around.
Well, I was like a rough and tumble girl and playing video games and doing sports and yeah.
What are your thoughts?
All frocked up and I'm like, oh, what do I do?
What are your thoughts about video games as inspiration for big screen movies these days?
I think it's really interesting. I think especially with 3D, it's starting to make the most sense that it ever has for me, because I think 3D is the perfect marriage between those two. Those 2 elements is the film and the video game, and immersing yourself in a world, and having those choices and kind of having a world unfold as you make your way through it. And obviously, they're really successful. There's a huge audience there, so it's nice to know who you're making a film for, and I think they have some of the best monsters and kind of ghouls and demons and all sorts of frightening, wonderful things. So why not play with it?
Especially Silent Hill, because it is one of the most kind of demented, scary games out there when you compare it even to others like Resident Evil.
Oh yeah, it is. It's petrifying. I played it again recently, and it had all the voices, and when you're in the room, and like telling you these awful things, and I felt sick. Like I felt real. So I think Silent Hill is a really, really frightening game to play, and on a really psychological level. So it's the perfect platform for a scary film.
What was it like being on set with all that scary stuff going on?
It was, being on set was interesting. It was very, very scary at first, and then, you'd have days where it was just, the norm, walking past Red Pyramid, who's 10 foot tall, and, wielding his great big axe, and then we'd say action, and I've got to fight it, and, fight that man in his suit and his axe, and he's a stunt man and I'm not. And I'd get really scared. We had some incredible days. Actually, I was just talking to Michael about it, and we had this final scene, and it was towards the end of the shoot, and I was getting quite sick. And for some reason, I decided not to wear my contacts, and I'm blind as a bat. And we had this huge stage that we were wetting down with water because it had to be wet, but then we had like fire rings around the outside. Then we had 2 big stunt men in their crazy suits, and Red Pyramid was one of them. I won't tell you the other. And I had to run across and do this fight sequence, and I was blind, and it was wet, and there was fire, and there were fire, and I was just like, I want to go home.